So, folks, we gotta talk about Iran, obviously. Uh, we're gonna be talking about this for probably years. We'll see. One potential silver lining here is that Donald Trump appears to be trying to get out of this. He doesn't know how. And this is being reported by the Wall Street Journal. Apparently, he's been trying to get his advisors to end the war, which, doesn't sound very commander in chief of him. It seems like he could just make the war be done by pulling out and then, talking to the leadership of Iran. He's constitutionally incapable of doing that. It's going to be a huge problem for him here because he's dumb. There's really no other way to say it. He's just dumb. According to a number of different outlets today, Donald Trump gets a daily video montage to help him understand the Iran war. They've got interns putting together video footage because he's just not going to read anything. His brain is soup, guys. Maybe he got infected with the RFK brainworm. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but he can't read anything anymore. And instead, they need to put a video on an iPad like he's a goddamn infant that they don't want to take care of properly. That's what's happening right now. The guy in charge of everything is so lost and has no idea what he's doing that he's just advisors, end the war. And it's their job is to advise, not to end wars for you. You're the guy who can end the war. But also at the same time, all of these advisors are having their messaging teams putting together these video briefings for him. And he's just watching the explosions and the different military footage and thinking he's just the coolest guy ever. It's crazy. It's genuinely crazy. The daily montage typically runs for about 2 minutes, sometimes longer, officials said. One described each daily video as a series of clips of stuff blowing up. I'm not exaggerating. This is genuinely unhinged. He's making all of his decisions based on 2 minutes of explosion footage.
If only our president had an island to go to for young women to help him settle his distress.
God, yeah, if only. Wait a minute. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Maybe we can just tell him there's an island full of young women and he can go there and never come back. And then we just don't look into it too closely. Maybe it's just a one-way trip kind of situation. I don't know. We just don't look too closely into it, and he spends his life on Coconut Island. The highlight reel of the U.S. Central Command bombing Iranian equipment and military sites isn't the only briefing Trump gets about the war. He's also updated through conversations with top military and intelligence advisors, foreign leaders, and news reports, the officials said. But it'd be important to note that every day he's required to get the video briefing of stuff blowing up, because something tells me here that's the only information he's actually internalizing. That seems to be the only info that he's internalizing, because he's going out in front of the country every day and talking about how we won. We won the Iran war, everyone. No, but we didn't, though, actually. That's fucking nuts. The officials that are reporting that, he also talks to other people. Other officials in the administration have a different perspective, which is the video briefing is fueling concerns among some of Trump's allies that he might not be receiving or absorbing the complete picture of the war now in its fourth week, two of the current officials and the former official said. The videos are also driving Trump's increasing frustration with news coverage of the war. Trump has pointed to the success depicted in the daily videos to privately question why his administration can't better influence the public narrative, asking aides why the news media doesn't emphasize what he's seeing. One of the current U.S. officials and former U.S. officials said he's being put in his own media bubble where he just doesn't understand why the public isn't singing his praises. He doesn't get it, guys. Okay, but what if the dancing fruit had guns? God. He's a very stable genius, guys. Don't worry. Oh, God. This is buried all the way at the bottom of this article, by the way. All the way at the bottom. Concerns about the war among some Trump supporters surfaced publicly last week when Joe Kent, who until recently led the National Counterterrorism Center, said internal gatekeeping had limited Trump's access to a wider range of dissenting views during the war. A good deal of key decision makers were not allowed to come express their opinion to the president, Kent told Tucker Carlson in an interview after he left the administration. Quote, there wasn't a robust debate. Levitt wrote on social media at the time that Trump had strong and compelling evidence that led to his decision to strike Iran. Days earlier, Trump was asked about comments by his former AI czar, David Sachs, who said on a podcast that the U.S. should try to find the off-ramp and that this was a good time to declare victory and get out. Trump told reporters that Sachs hadn't shared his views with him. He's being isolated from even the Republicans who think that this is a bad idea. We are in a situation where, like, the hardliners who have been agitating for this war for decades have been trying, have succeeded in putting him into his own personalized media bubble. His advisors are just pushing him and pushing him and pushing him constantly to do this. And he's just a senile old fool who's going along with all of it and then confusedly looking around as he talks to rooms full of people who don't seem too happy about a war continuing to go on. He doesn't seem to understand that this is actually going to become a crisis, the likes of which, like, the American public hasn't seen in a long time. And of course, as all of this is happening, they are, like, the administration is well aware that they don't have the manpower to properly fight Iran. That's been a huge issue here. And they don't want to do a draft. So what is the solution that the Trump administration has come up with? Well, obviously, the answer is you have to increase the maximum recruitment age for how long, like what age people can enlist into the U.S. military, or the U.S. Army, rather, from 35 to 42. And also make it clear that, hey, just throwing this out there, they're trying to say you can serve in the military now, even if you have a marijuana conviction on your record. They're doing what they can to try and bolster their recruitment efforts because, no one wants to sign up for the military to fight, like, you know, an oil war in Iran. No one wants to do that, right? Sorry, oil conflict, because we need to remember here, Congress hasn't authorized a war with Iran. But let's see the administration try and defend that point for a second.
If the war in Iran continues past this current round of peace talks, and with thousands of troops on their way to the Middle East, is there a point, either a number of ground troops or a number of days, at which the president will consider seeking authorization from Congress?
Well, as you know right now, that formal authorization from Congress is not necessary because we're currently in major combat operations in Iran. The Department of War and the President, as I said, estimated about a 4 to 6 week timeline for the full completion of these military combat operations. We're again on day 25 today. And as a courtesy, nevertheless, the administration did notify Congress, the Gang of Eight, ahead of the launch of the operation 25 days ago.
Oh, well, at least it's a courteous war. You know, the administration had the courtesy to say this. Is it time to open carry at protest yet? I don't know. I guess ask yourself, is it a good time for you to get shot for being a suspected terrorist yet? Is it? I don't know. Come to your own conclusion.
And we've also had our top national security officials go to Capitol Hill to brief lawmakers, again, out of courtesy and out of respect for them. So
if the war in Iran continues...
God. Like, seems to be that I'm recalling somebody constantly asking that question who kept trying to evade bans in another chat. Like, stop it. If you're gonna make another alt account, don't do the same shit. Stop it. It's not difficult. Just don't, like, God, you got banned for being an asshole and for Fed posting. And for not understanding why you were getting timed out. Like, you understand coming into the middle of a segment about the Iran war, and you're like, well, should I carry a gun to a protest? I don't know. The last guy who did that got fucking shot at a protest. And like, I'm thinking of like that No Kings shooting that happened with the security that was there with guns. Like, I don't know. Are you ready to take the risk that you're going to shoot an unarmed civilian at a protest? Stop it. Don't do that. Don't do that shit. Don't bring guns to protests. You make yourself less safe, you make everyone around you less safe, and you are prime target for this administration to say, look, all these protesters are Antifa, time to clamp down on them. Stop it.
I saw a video saying that people are gonna start transitioning to Aviod the draft. I wonder what the reaction to that will be.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to do that. Genuinely, I don't think people are going to do that at all. I mean, trans people might do that, but I don't think I don't think non-trans people are going to do that to try and avoid the draft. Also, there's not going to be a draft. Rittenhouse got away with it, yeah, but also there are different rules. There, like you guys are aware, like we see it all the time in media. We see it all, like, conservatives have different rules in media than people on the left. Just the playing field we're dealt. The playing field is different. You guys all saw, I'm sure, those of you who remember, you know, the Bundy standoff, or the second Bundy standoff. You guys all saw that shit, right? Like, there were armed conservatives taking over government buildings, and not a single one of them got shot. I guarantee you, if a bunch of leftists try to do that under the Trump administration, they all get fucking massacred. Is this No Kings going to be insane? Just in its size and scope. What about open carrying at baseball games? I know it's not a popular position. I really think umpires be a little less liberal with their strike zones. Maybe so, maybe so. Don't open carry at a sports game. All right. Speaking of oil prices for Donald Trump, though.
So as we rebuild, it's going to come back very quickly. It's already back. I mean, it's back. It went down a little bit. I actually thought, when I went on this excursion, as I call it, excursion into hell, excursion into a terrible place, when I went on to do something that for 47 years should have been done by any of the other presidents, and you heard numerous of them said they wished they did it, but they didn't have the guts to do it. We had no choice, but I thought it would be much worse. I thought that the energy prices, oil price would go up higher. I thought the stock market would go somewhat lower, but it didn't matter to me. It's short term. What we had to do is get rid of the cancer. We had to cut out the cancer. The cancer was Iran with a nuclear weapon. And we've cut it out. Now we're going to finish it off.
Oh, yeah. You know, I thought it'd go much higher, he said. Okay. All right. Also, speaking of just different rules for different folks, this crossed my attention earlier today. Former NYPD chief admits giving free pass to city workers and right-wing allies. Specifically, the revelation by former NYPD chief of department John Chell came on Wednesday after the radio provocateur Sid Rosenberg had retweeted a post by a driver who claimed that an NYPD officer let him go without a traffic ticket when he heard Rosenberg's show coming out of the car radio. "I'm going to let you go because you're listening to Sid," the person claimed, the cop said. Streets blog engagement editor Emily Lipstein reposted the exchange with a gentle suggestion that the punishment for vehicular crimes should not depend on a suspect's political affiliations. That's when Chell spewed his unhinged sexist rant. "Emily, let me clue you into something that has been a standing order for decades. No doctors, nurses, teachers, or other city agencies. Since I was the chief of the department, I altered this to add any friends of Sid Rosenberg was a friend of ours. Free pass to Sid's friends. I did this because I could. That's just the way it is, my precious snowflake." And there he is, right there on Twitter, saying that today. Holy hell, how is this okay? Because power in America, if you're a cop, is there in part for you to abuse. it's why the number one rule in America, the number one law above all other laws, is that do not disrespect police officers. That they fucking hate that, and they will fuck you up about it. And so when people are like, is it time to open carry at protests? Just remember, there are actually different rules in America. Conservatives get treated with kid gloves, and left-wing folks absolutely get shellacked, all right? And you need to keep that reality in mind when you make your protest decisions, right? It's why Tea Party protests basically weren't recognized at all as like big deals by local cops and were largely treated as jokes, and yet became one of the most influential movements in American conservative politics. On the other hand, you have like No Kings protests, and police show up. They're or No Kings are like anti-ICE protests, and police are like fucking tear gassing right alongside with ICE. Yeah, like Alex Preddy was helping a woman up, and he got fucking executed in broad daylight. And I just want y'all to keep that in mind. When some dipshit is like, oh, maybe it's time to open carry at protests, you need to make sure everyone is on the page with that. The idea that, like, there are different rules, and you are putting not just yourself, but others at risk. And I've had to say this so many different times because one specific chatter keeps asking it. So I hope you guys remember this and keep that in mind amongst yourselves. Remind one another about this, because it's going to materially affect your protests.
Rebuild, and it's going to come back very quickly. It's already back. I mean, it's back. It went down a little bit. I actually thought when I went on this excursion, as I call it, excursion into hell, excursion into a terrible place, when I went on to do something that for 40...
Well, sorry, we just
every
played that
moment
clip.
he rattles on makes a stronger case to invoke the 25th.
The guy saying, let's open carry for a protest may be an operative. Well, that's also exactly what my point here. You make your protest less safe when you broadcast that intent. When you are organizing with other people who are planning a peaceful protest, and you are talking about the need to bring arms to the protest and like open carry at the protest, you are announcing that you are not someone who is safe to organize with, because you do not give a fuck about the safety of your fellow protesters. Do not fucking Fed post. Also, as the Iran war continues to spiral out of control, the American GOP has to be as obsequious as possible towards Donald Trump.
The president has done so much for the American people, and we want to honor him in some small way, some token of our appreciation for his leadership. And so tonight we have created a new award. We're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to honor him with a new award that we'll present annually from this point forward. But he is the suitable and fitting recipient of the first ever America First Award. We can think of no better title for what that is. That's this beautiful golden statue here, appropriate for the new golden era in America. And we want to let you know before we bring the president out and...
Look, everyone. We're giving him the first ever America First Award. He's just our biggest, most precious boy. He's so good. What an incredible president he is. We're giving him awards. A yearly participation trophy for Trump? Yeah, exactly. They're all complaining about fucking, left-wing snowflakes. But, they can't... They can't not give their big, precious golden boy his own little golden boy. A golden statue, how biblical, indeed. Now, of course, is the Iran war over? No! Actually, it's still going, and is not going to be done anytime soon. In fact, earlier today, Iran issued a warning to its regional neighbors, without naming names, that apparently they had received intelligence that a certain country is working with the United States to try and overthrow Iran. Al Jazeera reported on this. Tehran issues warning to regional neighbor if Iranian island is occupied. Karg Island, they're talking about, of course, where 90% of their oil is exported from. And essentially, Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, said on Wednesday that any such attempt would be met with targeted attacks on the vital infrastructure of the regional country, which he did not name, that assists in the operation to take Karg Island. Goes on to say Iranian forces are monitoring enemy movements, and if they take any step, we will attack vital infrastructure in that regional country in continuous and relentless attacks. It is worth noting that he did not name this country. Largely, it seems that this is a statement to deter this particular country from doing anything. However, it's pretty clear which country is coordinating with the United States in order to try and bring about the downfall of the Iranian state. And Popular Information actually had this information. Judd Legum, highly recommend you guys check this out. Popular Information, that is. After sending billions to Kushner and Trump, the Saudis lobbied to escalate Iran war. Saudi Arabia's de facto leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has been pushing Trump to continue the war against Iran, arguing that the U.S.-Israeli military campaign presents a historic opportunity to remake the Middle East, according to people briefed by American officials on the conversations. Oddly, the New York Times story does not mention that Trump's chief negotiator, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, is being paid tens of millions of dollars annually by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which is controlled by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Also, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman gave Jared Kushner's investment firm $2 billion for no apparent reason, against the advice of their accountants who, handle the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. There's a lot going on here, but essentially, this part is interesting. Also unmentioned in Tuesday's New York Times report is that the Saudi government, through the PIF, recently financed a $7 billion development deal in Saudi Arabia with the Trump Organization. Under the January 2026 agreement, Dar Global, a developer with close ties to the Saudi government, will build a Trump-branded hotel and golf course with 500 mansions priced between $6.7 million and $24 million. The project is part of Diriyah, a $63 billion development funded entirely by the PIF. It's essentially a gigantic bribe to Donald Trump. This, I think, is all very much worth mentioning because, as we have talked about with the situation of Saudi Arabia in particular and Riyadh and its strategic position, Iran issuing a threat to attack vital infrastructure, especially if this unnamed country is in fact Saudi Arabia, Iran in such an attack would be able to end the ability for human habitation in Riyadh. Essentially, if they attack the water desalination plants that allow for water to be in Riyadh on the scale necessary for the city to continue to function, it would effectively wipe out the capital. This is going to be something to keep an eye on here, folks, because if the United States, as it seems to be doing, with the consolidation of Marines, which more troops were sent just yesterday to the combat theater, bringing the total number of troops in the region to 50,000. If troops try to put boots on the ground on Karg Island and are successful, Iran can absolutely make good on this threat. Their ability is not at all impeded so far by strikes on Iranian soil. Like for all of the explosions, for all of the bunker busters, for all of the bombs and drones dropped on to Iran, the ability for Iran to field drones and missiles seems to have not been meaningfully reduced. And so this situation has potential to go deeply askew, to spiral way out of control. Nothing about this war is legal? Absolutely. Isn't targeting civilian infrastructure highly illegal? Yes. However, Iran is trying its best to defend itself, not to like excuse its actions here, but it is seeking right now to exact a price for the attacks on its country. And, you know, at the point it is at, a point of desperation, they are going to do whatever they have to, and they don't really give a damn if that means attacking civilian infrastructure. As they have in the past, they have been stating, you know, if the United States attacks Iranian infrastructure, we're going to attack other civilian
Jack,
infrastructure.
I think
Tit
we
for
should
tat.
trust the Marines and the 82nd Airborne. We have just enough forces in the area to recreate the Battle of Crete, only dumber and without victory in the end.
Yes, in fact, we do. Also, Rendo, thank you for the $5 dono. We are in a global energy crisis, which is, of course, further exacerbated by the fact that even though Donald Trump has been trying to lift sanctions on Russia, the Ukraine war has apparently, over the last day, just shut down 40% of Russia's oil export capacity with drone attacks on some of their biggest oil export sites. So if, you know, the United States was banking on being able to get oil, or other countries were banking on being able to get oil from Russia, this presents a colossal problem to solve any of these logistical issues that are popping up in Europe and Asia, etc. Pipelines are getting blown up. I imagine that Ukraine is looking at what is happening right now as a bit of an opportunity to put even more of a squeeze on Russia's energy infrastructure. And so that is currently an ongoing escalatory set of defensive measures they're taking. Worth noting, according to Reuters, the shutdown is the most severe oil supply disruption in the modern history of Russia, who is the world's second largest oil exporter. So that is currently happening as well. Godspeed, Ukraine. But if Donald Trump is saying, well, this is going to affect us, don't worry, the prices will come down soon. The prices are not going to come down soon. The U.S. dipped into its strategic reserve today, the strategic oil reserve, for the second highest amount of oil ever taken out of the reserve. I believe the amount is 172 million barrels of oil. I mean, people are really not happy about it, and Republicans are starting to feel that heat a little bit. Here's a CNN call, or not CNN, C-SPAN call, to Representative Pete Sessions, who is a Republican from Texas.
You, sir. This is Jack in Silver Spring, Maryland. Line for Democrats. Go ahead.
Yeah, your party has given the power of the presidency to an insane pedophilic serial killer. You're evil, and this whole...
All right. Congressman, do you want to respond at all?
Well, I would just say that I am aware across this country that there are people who have varying views, and I would tell him that I can control myself, and I try and work on a straightforward, honest basis with...
Well, I can only speak for myself. When I go along with everything that the insane pedophilic serial killer president does, I can only control myself, and I go along with every single thing he does and polish his knob, if you know what I'm saying.
A bipartisan mission that I have with Mr. Nfume and the duty and responsibility of my job on oversight, and I would like for him to at least offer some credibility to there are people who are trying to move this nation away from anything that would be a fight to fix. And
you, sir,
we're moving this nation away from anything resembling a fight, except when it comes to the war in Iran, in which case we all got together and said we think that kind of fight is good, and we actually want more death. Does he hawk-twa on that thing? I can only presume so. Now, of course, Iran, during all of this, is seeking what I think is a pretty important new concession added, which is to formalize their control over the Strait of Hormuz. Up to this point in time, there has been an informal understanding that Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz if they so choose. And we're seeing that now be put into action, right? Where there's enough plausible threat over ships going through the strait that they are simply not going through. In response to that, Iran has been apparently developing a vetting system of sorts to decide which ships are going to be allowed through, which ships can go through safely, which ships can't, what the conditions of passage are going to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this has apparently been going on for a bit now. However, it is worth noting that Iran has added the formal recognition of their authority over the Strait of Hormuz to their conditions to end the war. Notably, their conditions are a complete halt to aggression and assassinations by the enemy, with the United States, the establishment of concrete mechanisms to ensure the war is not reimposed, guaranteed and clearly defined payment of war damages and reparations, the conclusion of the war across all fronts and for all resistance groups involved throughout the region, and international recognition and guarantees regarding Iran's sovereign right to exercise authority over the Strait of Hormuz. This seems to be a new addition, and it is pretty interesting to see. Now, the vetting system does not seem to be finalized as of yet. Some ships are paying fees of up to $2 million for their ship to pass through safely. Others are apparently being allowed to pass through without paying anything. It's kind of up in the air about what exactly this vetting system is going to be, outside of the idea that essentially any ship that is deemed to be, heading to a US or a US ally is not going to be allowed through. It's it is an interesting development, to say the least. And so, as far as what Iran hopes to get out of this, besides a cessation of hostilities, this is a pretty big one. Giving them the ability to collect taxes and tolls off of oil ships leaving this particular area of the world is a huge win for them. And it does seem like that is something that they might hold on to as negotiations begin or continue. It's unclear exactly what the state of negotiations are, considering that the Trump administration has just been straight up lying about negotiations, and it's unclear to what degree Iran is actually engaging with any of the overtures that the United States has made so far, which, to be clear, the overtures are pretty weak, considering Donald Trump is out there trying to pledge a complete to give you guys an idea here. Donald Trump said that the leaders in Iran want to make a deal so badly but are afraid to do it because they think they're going to be killed by the people of Iran. But if they don't make a deal, he's going to start striking Iran harder than ever before. Again, anything that is coming out of the United States right now regarding negotiations is incredibly suspect. Oh yeah, no, countries will absolutely throw U.S. support away in favor of getting stuff through the strait. I mean, South Korea in particular is in a pretty dire state, as well as Japan in particular. Both are in a bad spot. Isn't the strategic reserve filled with excess production, or am I understanding it wrong? It seems like extra saved for times of need. It is extra saved for times of need. However, the issue is it has not been filled up or refilled for quite some time, right? So there is a lot in there, but it is, we've been dipping into it without putting a lot more back in, if that makes sense. And also, yeah, the oil that flows through the Strait of Hormuz is a different kind of oil than what the United States makes by and large. It is not additional production. It's just a pile that will run out. I mean, my understanding is that we have the ability to refill the strategic reserve. It's just we just haven't been doing that. We've been dipping into it for a decade now. Yeah, for quite a while. Apparently, Iran itself is going to pass a law in the near future to formalize on the national level control over the Strait of Hormuz, not just on a military level. So this seems to be something they're quite serious about. Now, I do want to say, when we look at the rest of the region and how this war is rapidly continuing to spiral out of control, the Islamic resistance in Iraq, one of Iran's proxies that operates within Iraq and has significant political power within Iraq, has claimed as of 3 hours ago to have hit 23 or participated in 23 attacks on U.S. bases. The war is spiraling out of control. And that isn't even talking yet about what is happening right now in Lebanon. Apparently, Israel is deeply worried that the United States is going to have a ceasefire in the near future. Specifically, they're hearing that Donald Trump desperately wants out of this conflict. And so Israel is trying to escalate however it can to perpetuate this conflict, because they have different war goals than the United States is war goal. I mean, as far as I can tell, the United States' war goal is just And so Israel is trying to keep the United States in the game for as long as possible by essentially by just ramping up the rate of strikes, choosing more targets more quickly. And, well, let's take a look here. Accelerating the campaign against Iran. This, of course, also includes accelerating the campaign against Lebanon, because as we talked about yesterday, Israel is very interested in establishing a buffer zone in Lebanon, which involves seemingly taking the entirety of southern Lebanon. They're saying they're not taking the land, but it seems like they want de facto control of the land, if not the on paper control of it. They've emptied the entirety of southern Lebanon of residents, though, of course, there are going to be some civilians that stay, despite the threats. And it's not great. The government of Israel has raised the ceiling for the number of reservists that the military is allowed to call up for active service to 400,000, which is 120,000 more than it is currently allowed to call up to duty, because Israel is looking to escalate to that extent. It's quite bad. Wasn't the goal bringing about the apocalypse originally? I mean, for a lot of Americans, that is still the goal. Absolutely. I've seen people in the comments on my videos talking about how, no, this is actually all good because it's going to lead to the second coming of Christ. So, it's, oh boy, not great, to say the least. Also worth noting that as Israel escalates its actions, this is also seemingly coming alongside an escalation of war crimes. Specifically, Human Rights Watch 2 weeks ago wrote about the use of white phosphorus in Lebanon. Human Rights Watch verifies use of incendiary weapon over residential areas in southern Lebanon. The use of white phosphorus is a war crime. It is a horrifying weapon. And just earlier today, The Guardian also confirmed with various researchers that, Israel is in fact continuing to use white phosphorus in southern Lebanon. It is just awful. Just fucking awful. And I would expect to see more and more war crimes as Israel continues to try and accelerate this conflict. They already deployed white phosphorus in Gaza. Yeah, I mean, Israel has a history of using white phosphorus in its conflicts. The fact that it is, in fact, a war crime, the fact that, their actions are displacing millions of people in both Iran and Lebanon, they don't care. They are doing... What does white phosphorus do? White phosphorus is an incendiary device. It's essentially a fire that cannot be put out. Here's the description The Guardian uses. White phosphorus is a chemical substance dispersed in artillery shells and rockets that ignites when exposed to oxygen, burning at up to 800 degrees Celsius and emitting large quantities of smoke. For that very reason, it's typically used to create a smoke screen to avoid visual targeting of soldiers or troops. However, it can also be used as a weapon, in which case it creates toxic fumes, it creates fires that cannot really be put out. I believe it even burns underwater due to the fact that it consumes oxygen, including oxygen in water. It melts through concrete. Like, it is some truly diabolical shit. And according to the researcher The Guardian got to interview over this, Ahmad Beydoun, an architect and PhD researcher at Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands, this researcher documented and mapped almost 250 uses of white phosphorus by Israeli forces between October of 2023 and November 2024, the last time they launched an invasion of southern Lebanon. And in case you're like, oh, well, if it consumes oxygen, just put dirt on top of it. That's what a lot of people do. The problem is, what happens when it is uncovered from the dirt is it reignites, because all that it takes is exposure to oxygen for it to explode. And considering it melts through concrete, it can also melt through and vaporize dirt. So it's a mine, but worse. Yeah, in a lot of cases, in about 20% of cases, it gets used on agricultural land. And in cases like that, it winds up sinking into the dirt, essentially acting as a chemical landmine. And specifically, this researcher, Beydoun, says, I think the Israeli army's thinking is that they use it to burn down fields for visibility so that people or Hezbollah militants don't hide under the trees. And according to the Lebanese nonprofit Public Works Studio, Israel has used white phosphorus to burn down more than 2,000 hectares of Lebanese countryside. So this is not a small operation and does not have small implications for the environment or for future danger. Wait, they're using it like Agent Orange? Yes. Like napalm. It is truly disgusting. And according to Beydoun, he believes that the Israeli military is using white phosphorus to push out the civilian population to create their buffer zone and make it easier to seize control of southern Lebanon. What Israel is up to right now. And also, hey, you know what the United States is up to and is looking to try to field by the end of this year? Worth noting, Anduril's new AI attack drone, codename Fury. It's going to be an autonomous AI-powered drone designed to kill people. So, the US is going to be automating our war crimes in the near future. Really cool stuff. Fuck this shit, bro. We're part of the evil empire, guys. When will it end? It only ends when we step up, when we organize, and when we end it. Okay? If you are upset about what the United States is doing, if you are upset about what our country is complicit in and actively participating in, then we need to get fucking organized. If you're upset at the idea that our military is going to be using AI-powered drones, we have to organize. We have to fight. We have to organize on the local level and build up our power until we eclipse the national level. And then we need to be kicking out all of these corporate Dems, all of these people who have sold us out to these AI and tech companies that are building the tools of our own destruction. Because if you think for a goddamn second that these tools don't eventually come home to be used on you and me, I've got a bridge to sell you. Understand here that, yeah, of course, AI-powered war crimes allows for plausible deniability, for no one to be held accountable for what destruction and murder is wrought. So what we need to do is organize now and put an end to this goddamn war machine. It is the only way forward for us. and the only way forward for the earth. So join your local Dems and push out those corporate Democrats. Join your local DSA and organize working people in your community, okay? It is the only path forward for us to better our own lives and to end the atrocities that our war machine is currently engaged in as we speak, okay? All that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this and need help to organize, join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly for help getting involved with your local Dems. She can help you get involved regardless of where you are in this country. And if you need help joining your local DSA, join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy. She can help you get involved regardless of where you are in this country, okay? Regardless of where you are, both those organizations exist, and we can help you become a part of them, okay? Take your first steps in making the world a better place. And if you don't want to join Discord for whatever reason, you can join riverboat.gg and talk to them over there. So with all that being said, folks, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words really help in the algorithm. And last but not least, please check out ImogeneOlivia.com. It's gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks, etc. It is non-tucking lingerie that fits, sexy, elegant, and check it out. Link down in the description, and there's a sale going on March 31st and April 1st. So check that out, and let's keep on going. Only way out is through, folks. We gotta organize.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.